Well, I'm delighted to be here at the embassy, and I'm meeting up with Meng Yuan.
Hi,
and,
good afternoon.
We'll do it the proper way, and maybe when we walk over here, you can kind of describe things. We can take our masks off so we can hear you better. But thank you so much for inviting us out here, because this year with the pandemic and everything, unfortunately, you can't host the kind of party you normally would, but we can at least do it virtually, right?
Yeah, I'm so glad to have you here, Mike. We actually had planned to host an open house day in May this year, but was cancelled due to the coronavirus. But we are very glad to have you here to have this virtual tour so that our audience can have a tour of the embassy.
And the embassy is so beautiful and so magnificent, and it has such a storied history, although brief history compared to China, which is thousands of years. This one has been here how long?
Before China and the United States established diplomatic relations in 1979, we had an initial liaison office in the US, and that was housed in Mayflower Hotel. And we had converted the Windsor Park Hotel on Connecticut Avenue into an office building. And then as the time went by, the functions of the embassy intensified. And then in 2004, we began to build this new building. This building was completed in 2008 and put into use in 2009.
I've been here for a few parties. It is just so elegant, and what makes it so striking is the architecture. So can you walk us through some of the features that really catch people's eyes?
Yeah, sure. This new chancery building was designed by the famous world-renowned Chinese-American architect, I.M. Pei. I'm sure you have heard of him.
Of course.
Yeah. This was the first time a Chinese diplomatic mission was commissioned to a world-famous architect. And many of the elements here embodied his personal style. I think you can see that this building is a perfect fusion of the East and the West, modernity and tradition. Mr. Pei used French limestone as the exterior walls to blend with surrounding buildings. And this kind of material, as well as glass and steel, were also used in National Gallery of Art in DC, as well as the Grand Louvre Museum in Paris, and also the Suzhou Museum in Suzhou, China.
And you were telling me the light features. I mean, you look at the windows, it's all so striking.
Yeah. Mr. Pei also used many geometric shapes in the building, such as the square windows and the octagon lamps. These are both contemporary and also reminiscent of traditional Chinese architectural style.
So let's walk over here, because the other thing that really kind of jumps out at you is the framing of this. And maybe you can put it into context for us, because we've got this gorgeous painting, but over here, when you look out the window, your eyes capture something else, and over here as well. So just kind of walk us through what we're looking at here.
Yeah, we are at the entrance hall of this building. You know, Chinese architecture features overall symmetry and some local variations. We are now at the public area of the Chancery building. On this side is the west wing, and on this side is an east wing. It's symmetrical. And at the entrance hall, the first thing I think you will see when entering the building is this painting. It's a huge painting of Mount Huangshan. Huangshan is a very famous mountain in China and a hot tourist attraction. And on the west side of the painting is some scarlet rocks from Lake Taihu, also Suzhou area. You know, Mr. Pei was native of Suzhou, and he used many elements of the classical gardens of Suzhou in his works. And on the east side, there was a guest greeting pine tree from Mount Huangshan. So the sceneries on both sides and the picture in the middle form a very good interaction with each other.
And you were telling me about this tree, and when you look at it, when you capture it with your language, it does look like an embrace. So tell us a little bit about this tree.
Yeah, sure. It is called guest greeting pine tree because you see his branches, the upper branches reach out just like a person welcomes his guest. So it's called guest greeting pine tree.
And so, you're here all the time. Do you ever just kind of spend days just kind of walking around doing this, because it really is so impressive?
Yeah, there are many visitors to the Chancery building. I'm so glad you can be here to take the visitors through a virtual tour of the building.
Yes, I've got to be the eyes and the ears. I've got to do the job. So we'll do this. Thank you
you.
very much. And
I'd
this
like
is
to
your
introduce,
colleague. Yes.
To my colleague, Mr. Li.
Hi.
I'm Li
Well,
Ying.
good to see you.
Good to see you too.
Well, maybe we can take these off
Sure.
and you can kind of give us an idea of what we're looking at here.
Yeah. First, you can see this vessel were used in ancient China for some rituals. This is called Hou Bu Wu Ding, because in Chinese it is called Ding. It is the most ancient ding we ever found in China. It was built in Shang Dynasty. That's around 1200 BC. That's 3,200 years ago.
Wow.
We know the name of the ding because you come here and you can see that it has its name carved inside.
Oh, yeah. You
See?
can see it there.
Yeah.
Yes.
As I said, it's called Hou Mu Wu Ding. Hou means queen, and Mu means mother. And Wu, we believe it's the name of the queen. So the queen's son, he is also a king of in Shang Dynasty. He built this vessel to honor his mother. And in Chinese, the word Ding was used to symbolize the integrity and unity of a nation. So that's why we put in the center of the hall and surrounded by 4 paintings of our famous mountains.
Yes.
So
Tell us about the paintings, because each one is from a different region, or it's actually a different season, right? As far as-
Yes, of course. This one is Mount Huangshan. It's in the southern part of China. It is famous for its specially shaped pine trees. That one, that is Mount Huashan in the western China. And it is famous for its steep mountain ridges. This one, you can see a lot of yellow in it. So that's Mount Taihangshan in northern part of China. The last one is Mountain Taishan in the east part of China. And you can see it is covered in snow, so it's definitely winter. We call Taishan the premier of all mountains. Actually, the name of this painting is Premier of All Mountains. And why we call it that has some cultural backgrounds, because in ancient China, there were important ritual, we call it Fengshan. Every few years, emperor would travel to the Taishan, offer some sacrifice to a god, and prayed for the prosperity of his nation. So it is seen as a connection between human and heaven. That's why we call it Premier of All Mountains.
So now we're, I guess, going to head downstairs.
Yeah,
right?
that's my colleague, Mr. Sun.
So good to see you again.
See you.
Yeah, how you been?
Doing good.
Okay.
Thank you. And
I guess we should
from,
head downstairs. Huh?
yes, of course. We could walk downstairs. This is a quarter page stairs, different from the other side. This is the east hall. We're going to the lower level. You can see outside of this building. This is a very tiny little Chinese-style garden.
Yeah, but it's
With,
very
pine
nice.
trees and also a small tree there. Yeah. And below this.
It's such a nice, majestic look as you walk down
Yes.
to the
It's-
lower level.
It's the concept and encrypted into an Iron Pace idea to borrow views from outside. Use windows, huge glasses. Yeah. And you can see downstairs there is the candle fountain.
Because it's very impressive too, and it's got the lighting features with it. It's really
we
nice.
turn on the light and when the small candle fountain is small and
Again, one of the things that really strikes you when you come through the embassy, and this is something, I've been here for functions, and the thing that just really grabs you is you enter each part of the embassy. It's just the art and how embracing and open it is.
Yes.
So walk us through, because the calligraphy here is really interesting, isn't it?
Sure, this is the 4 poems written by the ancient Chinese poets from Tang and Song dynasty, which is most famous for his poems. Each poem is written in different style of Chinese calligraphy, and each poem represents one season. Here you can see the back side, and here it's the poem describing the early spring in the February. Describing early spring's wind is like the scissor blade and cuts the slim weed into I think the jade side. And here we can see another one is describing the West Lake. Have you been to China? It's most famous. God, yes, in Hangzhou City, the West Lake in the mid-June, describing the huge lake with full of lotus leaves, horizon boundless to the horizon, boundless green with spotted red lotus buds in the sun glow. It's a very beautiful scenery you can imagine by reading these poems. And here we have another one they describe the autumn when the poet climbing on the mountain and was attracted, amazed by the maple forest in dust. So he decided to stop and enjoy the view. And the last one, I think it's winter. So it's written by, very interesting, written by a military poet in the Tang Dynasty, which is positioned to the northern border, which is, I think it's near the Great Wall. So when he's seeing his comrades go outside the Great Wall for battles, defend the country, defend the dynasty, and he would just write the rolling dust and the falling snows, how to describe the sceneries. So this is the four poems above.
And then are we headed
Yes,
this way?
we're gonna head into a very special room. It's newly decorated into a Chinese style with all Chinese furniture.
Yeah.
The very
It's in this again, when you enter this room, it's just kind of wow. The work that went into this is just amazing.
It's wooden, and I think it's a normal traditional Chinese style setting for the furnitures here. And you can see this is the master's seat and the guest seat here, and also the bookshelves all around. And we especially have a study desk. It's decorated with the floor treasury of study. Here in main floor treasury is a brush, and also we have the ink. Nowadays we turn into the liquid ink. The ancient time you use the ink stick, and also we have this. Open this ink stored. And also the last one is the invent paper.
And then when we look over here,
Yeah, especially I want to introduce you to this very beautiful painting. Actually, we named it Scholars of the Chinese Civilization and Chinese History because they are all famous Asian people. I can start with the right. One is named Sun Tzu, who is most famous for his book, The Art of War. I've been visit a lot of United States, American bookstores, and I found this is one of their best sellings.
it's you know, to that point, it's amazing. I see quotes from him all the time. It's amazing how many people still quote.
Yes.
He was such a thoughtful guy.
It was, I think it's the first military strategy swords put into, because he especially lived in wartime during the Chinese history, and a lot of states, tiny states fighting each other every day almost. So he developed into the strategy, and also the core values of his swords is stop war is a real military strategy, to stop war. So it's also this concept it's borrowed, and I think it's put into modern China's national defense policy, which is a defensive in nature. So it's the old philosophy that's influenced nowadays life.
Yeah.
Yes.
Speaking of philosophers, I mean, Confucius.
Philosopher, yeah, we always put important person in the middle of the picture. So here why the Confucius were positioned here. And you can see he's teaching his students, and his students was, his book named after him was composed by his students. His language, daily using, how he teach the students, then the students collect all of his words and write into a book. It was very famous. Now, his thoughts also has very huge influence to nowadays Chinese people living and also the worldwide. Even the foreign policies, like so do not impose on others what you yourself do not desire. It's some sorts that is influenced the nowadays Chinese foreign policy.
Yeah. See all this knowledge here.
So,
and then over the furthest
yes,
side over there.
the last one is it's 2,000 years back. It's in Han Dynasty, and named Zhang Hen. So he's a scientist, Asian Chinese scientist. He developed that is powered by water and assisted to astronomical observation, and also he invented a device that to detect the earthquake. So he's very famous for his achievements, and UN has named one lunar crater and another asteroid in the solar system after his name.
Here's your friend.
Shuran.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Good to see you.
So this is another beautiful, beautiful room.
That's
Tell us
right.
about it.
This is the biggest room in the embassy, the grand ballroom. And normally we hold the spring festivals and the National Day festivals here. So it actually covers about 10,000 meters feet.
Wow, it's very, very big.
Yeah, that's right. And normally accommodates about 800 people in here.
And so then most of the people will, they'll come down the stairs, they'll come in here, and then up here on the stage, a lot of times you'll have performances, speakers. Kind of give us a rundown. If this was a normal year, I'd come
That's
in here and
right.
I'd talk to you, and then what would be going on?
There'll be some dances, some singings on the platform, and there are some exhibitions in that hall too. And there is some traditional Chinese food in this room to share for our foreign guests.
Fantastic. And it is so nice and spacious. And of course, tell us about what we're seeing up here.
Well, these are actually still echoing the design of I Am Pei. And we can see the marble lines on the carpets are also echo of the marble line of the contour of the embassy.
Very, very, very nice.
Next, we'll be heading to the bamboo room. It is also a room where our ambassadors and ministers meet with their foreign guests. It's a very special room for us. I like it very much.
Yeah, it also, like this room back here, has a great aesthetic about it. It's just beautiful, again, furniture and surroundings. This artwork
Yes.
grabs you right when you walk in.
That's right, the screen and the backdrop, the painting behind it, which are not actually painting, but they are art pieces of embroidery.
Wow.
That's right.
Let's,
there are two sides of it.
Yeah, so you have one look here, but the other side's different, then, right?
The other side is actually the same.
Oh, it is the same.
It's the same, the two sides of it.
It's very, very nice. Beautiful.
This one, that's right. This one depicts one of the scenes of the most popular and largest and finest garden of China, called Zhuozhengyuan. That's right. And the garden itself is actually one of the UNESCO cultural sites.
It's very serene and beautiful. This, though, is just amazing.
That's
and
fascinating.
the story behind this is incredible too, isn't it?
Well, it actually takes 12 very skilled workers 10 months to finish this art piece. And they both come from the Suzhou Embroidery Institute.
And so when you look at it from a distance, it looks like a painting, but when you get close, you can tell it's actually fabric, isn't it?
That's right, that's complete fabric. And this is called the bird singing in the jade bamboo forest.
And it's just so huge.
The style of this embroidery is Su embroidery, one of the most important and famous embroidery styles in China. They are famous for their delicate lines and scheme work and needlework and the elegant color scheme.
I just love how everything's appointed with the art on the side. You see the wood work here as well. It's really quite striking, isn't it?
That's right. You're looking at the two sides of the walls. There are two pieces of authentic treasure from the Forbidden City too. And these paintings are traditional intellectual work of China. You can see there are lots of blank spaces in the willow branches and the use of calligraphy to balance the spaces. We're going to see another piece of treasure of our embassy.
Oh, yes.
This is a painting by Guan Shangyue, a very famous Chinese painter. And he is actually from the style called Lingnan School. And these artists would like to paint the Chinese landscape and the beautiful colors. They would like to use a lot of bold colors to express their passion for their country.
The Great Wall.
That's right, this is the Great Wall. And for his specific style, he used a lot of iconic images to represent the time that he created it. Could you just figure out what are the iconic images?
Well, this here, I guess this would be kind of the industrial age. Down there I see a train.
That's right, that's right. There's a train here and the electricity poles. Actually, it was created in 1970s. So that's exactly during the time of the industrialization period of China. So lots of Chinese people, if they know about the history, they come here and they know exactly when it was created.
And this, of course, the anchor, I guess, ancient times, and then, as you said, the industrialization.
Mixed with the modern time.
Yeah. So China always anchored to its past, but moving forward into the future.
That's exactly. I like your description very much.
Well, you can steal it if you like. So now, you were telling me this is an incredible staircase. It's just so magnificent.
That's right. I think I just walked through the rectangular stairs. These are the two staircases in the public area this one is spiral and that one is rectangular.
Yeah.
It drives the contrast between the two.
One side, and you know which side you're on then too.
That's right. And this is my colleague, Li Ying.
It's me again.
Yeah, good to see you.
This is we call installation art. It's an installation artwork designed by Mr. Xu Bing. He's a world-known installation artist. Actually, Mr. Xu was invited by the architect, Mr. Ian Pei, to add some softness to this building. He visited here and got his inspiration by the skylight, which keeps this whole bright and well ventilated. So he came up with the idea, purple cloud rising from the east. In Chinese, it is an auspicious symbol in Chinese tradition. So he designed this artwork not only to simulate the rise of air in the hole, but also to give his blessings to every visitor. This artwork consists of more than 300 plexiglass petals.
Wow.
And each petal is ancient Chinese pictographic character, like rain and cloud and water and river. You can see with the lights on, you can find some projections on the wall. Yeah, these projected images resemble the craft of Chinese paper cutting. So this one is just not single-dimensional, but multi-dimensional one.
Yeah, and it's perfect how you have the lights positioned to get this, you know, you can get, as you said, the reflection here.
Yeah.
It's,
With a
it's
reflection.
really nice.
Yes, and it also has some purple shades.
Yeah.
Purple shades in the middle, you see that?
Yes, absolutely.
So it's beautiful.
Yeah, it really is. It's incredible.
So then as we head in here, this is also just a really incredible room, isn't it?
Yeah, and this is the meeting room where ambassador meets some guests here. And this screen, I think it's a woven silk screen, and it's hand woven with gold threads. Usually, it would take one skilled worker at least 2 to 3 years to finish it, and the technique now is lost, so we cannot. We cannot make such thing again. And it is from the Paris Museum, the Forbidden City.
Oh, yes.
So it also has some auspicious symbol on it, like the Buddha hand representing longevity, and you can see some grapes and some longans, and a flower basket representing fertility, and so on. On the background, we have a painting. This painting is called The Splendid Motherland, created by Mr. Chen Zhengguo, a contemporary Chinese artist. The painting depicts a panoramic view of the Great Wall, winding through a large forest of pine trees and cypresses, which symbolize the long-term prosperity of our nation.
Incredible.
And on both sides of the wall are the works of Shen Quan, a Chinese artist who lived in the 18th century. The Metropolitan Museum of Art in New York has a collection of over a dozen works of him. These 6 scrolls are a perfect demonstration of Shen Quan's craftsmanship, with meticulous rendering of flowers and birds and sophisticated composition within a rectangular frame.
Well, thank you so much for the tour. Yeah, this has been great.
My pleasure.
Yeah.
It's our pleasure. Thank you for coming.
Yeah. Let's do this officially before I say goodbye.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much. 谢谢.
Thank you. 谢谢.
So I guess the takeaway for me, one of the most impressive pieces is this one right here. To think that, 12 people working on this for 10 months, creating something, weaving it together. You think about how painstaking that is, but then you think about this room and what happens here, and the fact that, at some point, the ambassador could be sitting right here and holding a conversation. And you think about not just the beauty of the art, but the beauty of diplomacy and the beauty of history and how it's all resting here in this building. I hope you've enjoyed this virtual tour as much as I have. Next year, hopefully, you can come and see it in person. Oh, this is great. Look at that. Very nice. So we have different variations, I take
Has
it.
different types of mooncake. What is this type?
这个叫素皮月饼，素式月饼。
This is